Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Weinberg, founder of Lasting Change Wellness, and I'm here to talk to you today about mindful video conferencing. Super important topic, but before we get started, have you been sitting all day? Have you taken a break? Feel free to pause me. I will be here when you get back and, give yourself a good stretch, go grab a glass of water, take a comfort break, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so we are going to talk about mindful video conferencing, or as I like to call it, putting the Zoom back in your Zoom meeting. It turns out that, staying connected through video conferencing has been a double-edged blessing. I mean, on the one hand, we are all able to do business and move forward and to some extent stay together. On the other hand, it's incredibly exhausting. Our brains find this format to just require a lot of work. And it's ultimately, people are feeling increasingly anxious as this continues to go on, increasingly isolated and disconnected. And it's affecting engagement, motivation, productivity. So everything I talked with you about today is really aimed at making people feel seen and supported, lessening anxiety, and feeling engaged, motivated, and connected. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into it. I'm calling this plugging the holes because really, while this format is fantastic, whether it's Zoom or whatever platform your company uses, video conferencing has holes. There's gaps, and it's possible for leadership, if you're being mindful and present in that moment, to fill in some of those holes, and it really can lead to a lot of success. So let's go ahead. I plan to talk today about setting yourself up for success before a meeting, things you can do to manage a meeting mindfully, and how to wrap up with clarity and clear communication. So there are problems with this format. A study just came out from Stanford University describing all the theoretical reasons behind why we're feeling so exhausted. And, we're calling it Zoom fatigue. I'm sure you've probably heard that. And it turns out that seeing people in this format is incredibly unnatural to us. We are not used to having big, faces 2 feet away from us. It's overstimulating for our brains, and it makes us feel in danger. We're not actually in danger, but our brains are always looking for where possible danger lurks. That's what has kept us safe and able to move forward as a species over time. So right now, our brains are erroneously seeing these large faces that are way too close to us as danger. And we're on high alert all the time, and that sets off a cascade of very harmful chemicals in our body: cortisol and adrenaline and epinephrine, all these things that are not pleasant to feel and contribute to us feeling anxious and depressed and isolated. And it's affecting our engagement, it's affecting our motivation, our productivity. So while people are showing up, they may not be showing up as their best self. And as it turns out, our brains process people and interactions differently in 2 dimensions than in 3 dimensions. So having to both listen and look at somebody while you're speaking is more distracting than just listening when you're doing it in a 2-dimensional format. So that's something to keep in mind, and we're going to talk about that as well. And then we're looking at ourselves all the time. Well, that is just not natural for, most people. So, this is having an effect. And it seems that it really is, much like social media with young people, that sometimes it really can contribute to an increasing negative self-image. And finally, this lack of movement that we're all engaged in. Oftentimes we sit ourselves down at our computer at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and before you know it, it's 4 in the afternoon and you haven't gotten up for a break or water or anything to drink. And this is taking a toll on our bodies. Our backs hurt, hips, we're getting dehydrated. All of that contributes to loss of focus and attention. And it also inhibits creativity and divergent thinking, which we need for innovation and brainstorming. So for all of these reasons, it's important that we take a different approach to our video conferencing meetings. Just to point out why this is so important, Gallup did one of their very large studies and published at the end of last year that miraculously, it's all about well-being. I knew that. That when employers support well-being, they support their employees' engagement, performance, and productivity as well. So that's what mindful video conferencing is all about. It is about supporting your employees' well-being and making sure that people are feeling creatively and engagingly led by their leaders and not micromanaged. Everybody wants to feel that they have something important to contribute. It's incredibly integral to feeling motivated and engaged in your work. So that's another thing to consider as we move forward in this conversation. So before you start a video meeting, for yourself as a leader or for your team, maybe you can start this, as just normal protocol. Take a couple minutes to set yourself up for a good meeting. Start by taking that stretch, that I mentioned at the top of the hour. Get an extra glass of water and drink it. Doesn't help to just have it sitting there. And possibly if you don't have a good ergonomic chair, consider sitting on a pillow so you can raise your hips up a little bit higher than your knees. Keep both of your feet flat on the floor. Keep your shoulders sort of straight and sitting up in an upright but relaxed posture. All of this contributes to feeling energized for your meeting. Limit distractions. Turns out that multitasking is not a real thing. Our brains are constantly switching back and forth very quickly between two tasks, and that's exhausting. So the more that people, have their meeting going, but they're also doing email and they're also writing a note to somebody or working on another project, it all contributes to a loss of focus and a loss of engagement and attention. Take a couple of minutes before your meeting to just look out a window. Picking your head up and looking into the distance is incredibly important also in reducing that sense of threat inside of our mind. So when we stare at a computer all day and then we pick up our phone and we're staring at our phone, we are creating a tunnel effect that contributes to that feeling of anxiety and danger. So take a moment to look up, look out, and it will calm your nervous system. So you've done all that to prep for your meetings. It's time to start your meeting. And again, you might be doing all of what I offer. You might be doing some of what I offer. And most of this might be new thinking for you. Whatever will work in your situation, in your setting, please take that as my offering to you. And if you're doing all of it, then great. You can leave today's discussion feeling like, yay, I've got this. So let's jump in. If you can, welcome people by name. That makes them feel so much more seen and connected. Try to set up a situation that mimics sitting together at a table as best as possible. So like I said, it's weird to see people in a two-dimensional format really up close. Do you remember the Friends episode about the close talker? Right? Nobody enjoys a close talker. It's not normal. It makes us feel uncomfortable. So when possible, encourage your people to either push their computer back a little bit or push their chair back a little bit. So you're sort of getting almost that sense of physical space that you would where you just actually be sitting at a table together. Either put encourage people to put their view, if your platform has the capability for this, on speaker view, or maybe even hide their self view. Again, it's to limit either feeling stared at by everybody, right? You put it on speaker view so that you don't feel stared at by all the other talking heads that are on the screen, or limiting your self view so that you're not getting caught staring at yourself all day and it doesn't contribute to that sense of negativity about yourself. Same thing that I said before you start your own meeting, encourage people to sit up, both feet on the floor with a relaxed posture. And then ask people to just take 3 deep breaths. You don't have to guide them in it. Just ask people to take just a few moments. That won't even take a minute, to take 3 deep breaths. That works tremendously to calm the nervous system, to help increase focus and attention. And lastly, if you can give a quick outline of your agenda, what you hope to accomplish, and the amount of time you have for the meeting. That way people will know, when they can expect the meeting to end, which can help reduce anxiety about everything else they have to do during their day. And it will help everybody stay on track and maybe not talk too long if they know that there is a short period of time at hand. Just take 3 to 5 minutes to foster some connection. And I know we're all having shorter meetings, and that's great, right? Because it helps people's attention span to have these shorter meetings. But whatever you could do in 30 minutes, you could probably do in 25. And what I'm suggesting will only take 3 to 5 minutes, and it will go a long way to making people feel relaxed and connected and ready to work. So, just have fun with it. I started a meeting the other day. We started playing with the Zoom makeup. I don't know if you use Zoom, but if you do and you're interested to know what I'm talking about, Zoom makeup. Am I wearing Zoom makeup? I won't tell, but if you want to know how to use it, reach out, call me. I promise I will walk you through it. It's easy as could be and so much fun. Or maybe start with a trivia question or a joke, or maybe everybody takes a turn posing a question to everybody else and people can type the answers into the chat, like, what's the best thing you made for dinner all week? Or, when was the last time you actually went outside and saw sky? I mean, anything. And then lastly, gratitude. One way to start a meeting might be to go around the Zoom room and everybody say one thing that they're grateful for. Study after study has confirmed that organizations that start their day by asking employees to think of 3 things that they're grateful for, especially if it's 3 things that they're grateful for about their work environment, but anything, leads to an increase in profits. I have seen as much as 37% increase in your bottom line. Mind-blowing, right? Gratitude, profit. Who would have thought? But it's been replicated time and time again. So you're in your meeting and you want to make sure that people stay engaged and focused. If it's possible and appropriate for your situation and you have the capability, try to break out into smaller groups, especially if you are brainstorming something or you're coming up with, you want everybody's input. Ask somebody to be the note taker and report back to the larger group. This will give everybody a chance to interact a little bit more. They'll have more time to speak and everybody's ideas will be heard and you can actually be more productive in a shorter period of time. Encourage turning off your video. Like I said, it's harder to process both video and auditory information when it's 2-dimensional. So just turning off your video or making it perfectly normal and acceptable to look away from the screen and look out helps people stay focused. It's not normal to just stare all the time at people who are in front of you. That's not what we would be doing if we were in meetings or if we were out to lunch. We'd be buttering some bread, we'd be calling the waiter over, or we're taking notes, or we're, chatting with the person next to us. So anything you could do to mimic real life and limit distractions is going to help people feel focused and engaged. If meetings are very long, over an hour and a half or more, take a break. Encourage people to stand up and stretch. Do some squats or some table push-ups. Go get a drink of water. Just take a personal care break. This helps will go a long way toward helping people feel comfortable and ready to be alert and focused and participatory. And it lets them know that you care about them, that you care about them as a person, and you recognize that they have needs. Finally, wrap it up with a bow. If it's genuine, be free with your praise and acknowledgement. People need to hear that they're doing a good job. They want to know that they're contributing in a meaningful way. That helps them feel invested in your organization. Again, people have good BS detectors, so don't just lay it on thick if it's not genuine. But if you've noticed something, take the time to say it. And then finish up your meetings by I call it reading yourself out of your meetings. Review what you accomplished. Elucidate, get clarity on anything that needs further clarification. Set up accountability, who's going to be responsible for what and how that gets transmitted back to the group. And dismiss everybody with a smile. Thank you for your time and attention. I know that you're busy. Recognition. Just remember, if it feels excessive, like you're hand-holding or coddling, these are not normal times. People need a little more hand-holding and coddling in the best way possible, from the heart, just to let them know that you see them and that you appreciate them. Finally, if you can do this in your organization, follow up from the meeting. Send a summary with the action steps that you're expecting and the accountability. If you have the ability, or you can, record your meetings and include a link in your summary. People can look back and see if there's anything they missed. And finally, if you're the leader, you're the one leading a team of people, and you notice anything off, you might be wrong, but err on the side of reaching out. You don't have to do anything complicated. Pick up a phone. Remember phones? Pick up a phone. Make a phone call. Reach out to someone and say, hey, you just seemed a little bit off. Is everything okay? How can I help? That does so much to open the door to help people feel connected to everybody else there, seen, appreciated, thought of as a three-dimensional person. So if you have any questions, I have a lot more to say on this subject, as you can imagine. I'm Lauren Weinberg. My business is Lasting Change Wellness. I am a coach, a speaker, and a facilitator. I help individuals integrate their needs with life's busy demands. And through the 50-50 solution, I help individual employees and organizations find opportunities to create wellness for all the employees and for your bottom line. Thank you so much for giving me your time and your attention today. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned some things about how you can prepare, run, and follow up on a mindful video conferencing session, and I hope it's helpful for your business. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Lauren Yellen Weinberg. I would love to connect with you. And if I could be any help, just give me a call.